Let's start a riot, let's start a riot. Let's start a riot, let's start a riot.
All right, Fantasy Footballers Anonymous. Here we are going into Week 8. I'm Trey Seitz.
And I'm Rob Mattern. Half the season is in the books. We've got the second half to look forward to.
Downhill slope.
Week 7 recap. First game is Supermom and Steelers Wheel. Supermom kicked my butt this week, 108-80. Mostly because of Russell Wilson scoring his 36. And my top scorer was Drew Brees with 20.
Master Disaster and 3 Sharks in the Water. Close game came down to Monday night. His defense against my running back and wide receiver, and he had Andre Johnson. 85-80, top scorers, Le'Veon Bell, 19, and Roddy White, 16.
Yeah, he stole my Julio Jones points. All right. And Victor's Wildcats and Lucci's Winners. Lucci's Winners stepping up with another big week, 136-104. Demarius Thomas, who was part of that trade with Trey a few weeks ago, scored 29. And Peyton Manning showed up again with 28.
Fish and chips against Flea Flickers. Flea Flickers pulled this one out at the end. I was a little disappointed, not going to lie. 82-88. Top scorers, Tom Brady, 22, and Andrew Luck, 19. I think that's one of Andrew Luck's lowest scoring games so far. All right, we're bringing back That's What I'm Talking About. But this time we're going to do it a little different. We're going to talk about the 4 teams that are in 1st through 4th and what player is standing out the most for them as of right now.
All right, first one up is DeMarco Murray for Flea Flickers. What can you say about the guy? 7 100-yard games to start the season. That's big in fantasy football. He has not scored under 10 points, obviously, because of that. He actually hasn't scored under 16. It was his lowest game this year so far. He's got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touchdowns at this point through 7 games. So, number 1 overall running back, it's a great guy to have on your team. That's what I'm talking about.
You know, right now he's doing great. His lowest touches in the season in a game is 22 touches. That was the very first week of the season this year. With these kind of touches he's getting, I mean, he has 31, 29, and 28 touches in the last 3 weeks. You're going to do good on a team like this if you get that many touches. We just got to worry about his health, because that's been a problem ever since college for this guy. All right, next is going to be Antonio Brown. This is my wide receiver. He is blowing up for me. You know, even when he doesn't score a touchdown, he throws them. This guy, he's number 1 overall in wide receiver position. His lowest yards to season so far is 84, and that was only on 5 targets. This guy's blowing up for me. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he actually should, I think, have another touchdown on Monday Night Football this past week, but they rolled him out of bounds by a fraction of an inch. But, hey, I'm glad that he plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers because he's an outstanding wide receiver. Made a couple great catches in that game. All right, next one is Russell Wilson for Supermom's team. I mentioned earlier he was her top scorer this week with a 36. Guy's been doing really well. He's the 5th overall quarterback right now, which I don't think was projected before the season. But just in this past week alone, he had over 300 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing, and accounted for 3 touchdowns between the one that he ran for and the 2 that he threw for. I think he's pretty much cemented in her lineup as her starting quarterback, and Matthew Stafford is going to go by the wayside at this point. But Russell Wilson, dude, that's what I'm talking about.
This guy is projected to get 27 points this week. He's averaging 22 points a game. You know, he has 2 games where he rushed for over 100 yards. He has 3 rushing touchdowns this season alone. This guy's doing great. All right, next we're going to talk about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, well, there's not much to say there. It's Peyton Manning. He's having a better year this year than he had last year. He has a harder schedule this year than he had last year. He's number 2 overall right now, behind Andrew Luck, who has not had his bye week yet. Peyton Manning has. I think it's kind of close between the two who's going to be better at the end of the year. Right now, he has 143 points total. He's averaging 23 points a game. His lowest game so far this season is 20 points. Last year, his lowest scoring was 13 points against Kansas City. I don't think that's going to happen again this year. I mean, look at this guy's receiving core. He's got targets at tight end, at running back, both sides of the field, across the middle. Everywhere you could possibly go, this guy's got targets. Peyton Manning, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he was beast for me last year when I had him, the staple of my team, and I think it's the same thing for Victor's Wildcats this year. You know, if he can get the rest of his team set up and get some consistent guys in at running back and wide receiver, I think he's going to have a scary team going into the playoffs if he can stay up there. All right, fantasy football punch to the junk for week 7. You know, we didn't really have any teams score a low score this week. The lowest score was 80 for me and Ethan. But when it came down to it, I think I just had to pick myself for this one, Steelers wheel. And reason being, number 1, Giovanni Bernard, who has been my best running back this year, scored 21 points for me last week and was the only one to show up on my team last week. This week put up a 1. Also, Kristen, Supermom, scored 49 points out of 7 of her players. More than half of her score this week came from Russell Wilson and Shane Vereen. And beyond that, too, she even had guys on her bench that scored well. That when I saw Chris Ivory put up a 17 on Thursday night, I thought, good, she didn't have her good players in this week. Didn't work out.
Yeah, maybe you should have chose some different people on your bench, but you didn't really have a whole lot of options there. You know, Josh Gordon not playing, Zach Ertz bye week, Cody Parkey bye week. You know, maybe you should have put in Percy Harvin or Rashad Jennings. I don't know. You didn't have a lot of options. Bad choices, bad mistakes. 3rd place in the East Division.
Oh, that was the other thing, too. It knocked me out of 4th place overall. So if the season ended today, I would be out of the winner's bracket.
And here are the standings going into Week 8. Right now, the top 2 teams in the East Division and the top 2 teams in the West Division have one thing in common. They live together.
Yeah, the race is getting tight here, other than the 1st and 2nd place. Master Disaster and Flea Flickers are both 6-1 with a 2-game lead for Flea Flickers over Victor's, and Master Disaster has a 3-game lead over Supermom, Steelers Wheel, and 3 Sharks. All 3 of us have the same record at 3-4, and John's sneaking back in there at that 2-5 record. Could make a big splash here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, right now John's points 4, is higher than every single person in the East Division.
Yeah, he's had 2 big weeks here the last 2 weeks. Probably added, I think, more than 250 or 260 points in the last 2 weeks. So getting scary, dude. Week 8 preview. This is where the games start to matter in the second half of the season. Flea Flickers and Steelers Wheel. Flea Flickers 6-1. Steelers Wheel at 3-4. I need this win this week. At this point, it's projected to be a close game, with Flea Flickers winning 109 to my 108.
Next game is Lucci's Winners against Three Sharks in the Water. Projection 110 to 89. This is the biggest spread projection out of all 4 games this weekend at 21 points. Three Sharks, you got some making up to do here.
And Fish and Chips versus Supermom. This one's going to be kind of interesting. At this point, it's projected 110 to 99 in favor of Supermom. And I'm interested to see what Jake decides to do with LaShawn McCoy. He's only projected to score 11, and his other 2 starting running backs that he's been leaning on here, Brandon Oliver and Justin Forsett, they're projected to score 13 and 11 too. So, LaShawn McCoy, that first overall draft pick, do you sit him even though he's playing?
Next is Victor's Wildcats and Master Disaster. Right now, projection is 111 to 115. I'm projected to beat him by 4 points. Also, this is the first game that we had in the season. So you're back to trying to make up against the people you lost against and trying to stick to the people you beat. All right, and here's bold predictions. Again, we're all 0-6. It's 3 of us. 0-6. Come on, we got to do something better. This week, I'm going to go with Bryce Brown, who was activated off of the practice squad in Buffalo. I think he's going to get 100 all-purpose yards and at least 2 touchdowns.
All right, and I'm going to go with LaShawn McCoy, who has only scored 1 touchdown so far this season. I'm going to say that the Philadelphia Eagles go into Arizona and win the game, and LaShawn McCoy is going to score at least 3 touchdowns. And here is this week's league bold prediction.
This week's loser's advice: drop all your bench players because all the bye weeks are done, and pick up handcuffs because they are the most important thing to have right now.
All right, thanks for watching our video this week. We've got the 49ers and the Giants on bye this week, so adjust those rosters accordingly. I'm Rob Mattern.
And I'm Trey Seitz. Good luck on the downhill struggle.
Start a riot. Let's start a riot. A riot. Let's start a riot.
Did my wet spot dry up?
Yeah, were you sucking on your shirt? No. Really?
She's like, oh, I wasn't doing it.
Video, it's like, all right, we know who's on freaking bye, dude. All right. I'll do it later.
I said anonymous.
Mana. I'm going to go eat a big salad with ranch dressing on it. Superman kicked my... Superman.
You took everything I was going to say. You can take that last part out.
Are you trying to hide your water stain because your head just got really low?
But it's going to be either Peyton Manning. All right, you can cut that out because I just said the same thing twice. That one you're going to have to do a lot of editing. There we go.